Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. There's been some detailed information on the Ifcs, the Intelligent Flight Control System and flight model. CIG Zyrane, otherwise known as John Pritchett, and the creator of this IFC system, released a statement. Not long ago, following the release of 3.0, IFCS was an unstable mess. Since then, I refactored the IFCS, and this refactor was released as part of the 1.3 patch, restoring smooth, stable, and responsive flight control. This was a major milestone in the development of the Star Citizen flight model, and while it isn't yet as solid as I want it to be, Esp broke during the refactor, but is improving as of 3.2. I believe we've reached a point where it would be valuable to present the community a detailed description of the flight system I've been building for Star Citizen over the last 5 years. Along with this post is a 21-page document detailing how it all works, and Nubifier has done an amazing video covering that document, which I recommend you watch. This video is going to highlight some pieces of that document and add a bit more from the ongoing Q&A John is doing, as well as talk more generally about IFCS, where it is now and where it's going. IFCS 3.0 was released with Star Citizen 3.1. This refactor was necessary to deal with several changes and optimizations made to Star Citizen's engine for the 3.0 release. It introduced several new control subsystems, allowing the thrust contributions of these subsystems to be independently tracked and controlled. It also improved modularity by adding support for generic feed-forward control algorithms, allowing them to easily switch between second-order, third-order, transient, spline, or any other desired motion profile. They restored the primary motion control profile to transient rather than third order, matching what was used in IFCS 1.x, and finally they split the physics impulse generation apart from the control system logic in order to allow for a better balance between optimization and stability. John said on the current tweaks and changes, this is the third major iteration of IFCS, and each time I've needed to modify its functionality to support the growing set of requirements. As long as those requirements continue to grow, the system will continue to evolve. But if we've reached a point where we have a good understanding of what's required of the system, then it's more a matter of using it to its full potential. Where are we today? I don't know, but I expect IFCS to continue to evolve. How much, I can't say. The flight simulation itself is a 6 degree of freedom rigid body Newtonian model. Ship motion is induced by thrusters, with each individual thruster generating a limited amount of force at its mount point. Depending on the direction of a thruster and its mount point relative to the ship's center of mass, each thruster will generate both a force and torque on the ship. The sum of all forces and torques will determine the ship's linear and rotational acceleration at any moment. Even under ideal conditions, such a complex system is difficult to control without assistance. In the real world, a pilot would rely on a control system to translate his or her input into actual thruster activity that would deliver the requested control with both accuracy and stability. That is the purpose of IFCS. So IFCS covers and combines various control inputs: acceleration control, velocity control, and positional control, as well as control subsystems: linear rotational pilot control, transitional control, rotational stability, gravity, and drag compensation. The IFCS system interprets what you are inputting from your controls into actual ship movement by putting the right amount of thrust into each thruster. Each ship will perform differently based on where the thrusters are. The mass of your ship matters as well. Cargo, items, using ammo, and damage, that can all affect a ship's mass. Literally, anything that you have on your ship will contribute to the mass. As you lose mass, your ship will change in the way it flies. Components, the type of thrusters, power available to them, cooling, these will all play roles too. You will have a good level of customization with your ships in Star Citizen and how to fly them. IFCS has control modes that translates inputs previously mentioned into motion. You've got coupled mode, which is the typical nose first engine driving your ship like an airplane. Decoupled mode, that decouples your ship from its main thrusters and throttle. It allows you to do 6 degrees of freedom movement, basically strafing forward, backwards, up, down, left, and right. There are some assists and additions to this too. Comstab. This is a mode that you can select to have on and off, and it slows your ship down when you turn to help it prevent sliding. G-Safe. This basically caps your ship's speed to a safer level when doing maneuvers to prevent blackouts, basically. Boost. This burns boost fuel to get better performance from your thrusters in any given maneuver. Afterburner gives you faster top speed at the cost of boost fuel. ESP, or Enhanced Stick Precision, normalizes movement when aiming with fixed weapons or gimbaled locked mode or using a joystick, with the idea to reduce input when aligned with the target so that you don't overshoot. Basically the idea of ESP. Speed regulation. So ships, based on their components, will have capped speeds. This is for gameplay and is strictly enforced. It obviously goes against what a Newtonian model could do, but to capture Chris Roberts' Wing Commander-esque flight model, I suppose, they need to have speed regulation there. Gravity and drag compensation. So this is something I wanted to single out. Thrusters will be much more burdened in atmosphere or near a body that exerts gravity. If you are hovering, then the thrusters tasked with doing that might have reduced or no function for other maneuvers. This may burn fuel more quickly, as well as overheating the thrusters too. As planets and moons will have their own unique gravities, and ships' mass will vary with cargo and items, as well as the power of their thrusters based on your choices, it's really important to know that on one planet your ship might fly well, and on another it might be too heavy and come hurtling down. Every ship could have its own specific drag factor as well, based on its shape. Atmospheric density and weather will affect this as well. They potentially may evolve the system a bit further. They might add lift to that atmospheric model. Turbulence in-game is currently a placeholder, but once weather and density is in there, it can be modelled. Safe velocity. So this is the maximum speed at which your ship can operate safely in atmosphere. Aerodynamic ships are likely to have a much higher limit. The system can work with propellers, fans, gravlev, and more in the future if required too, so we might see some interesting craft using this flight model. The flight model and Ifcs and all of that system are actually pretty in-depth and pretty amazing. But a lot of the actual function of the features there comes down to implementation, something that is a little disconnected from the flight model and out of John Pritchett's hands. It doesn't matter how amazing this flight model is and what it covers if its implementation only uses some of the features, or is buggy, or is poorly implemented, or if the server client can't handle the amount of updates the system needs to do. There's performance issues, there's bugs, there could be loads of different things. It's something that Star Citizen needs to get right at every level. It's a ship space game. The flight model has to be near perfect at worst. And that, for me, if possible, needs to be sooner rather than later too. It's great to get that core mechanic, which is fundamental to the game, done as early as possible. And I know it might evolve, and I know there might be systems behind it that will change them, and they need to change the model with that. I am incredibly impressed how in-depth and immersive the system is though, and what it can support for the future. That's absolutely awesome. It might just take a little bit of iteration on the implementation of it. So in an ongoing Q&A, John has said some things as well, which I will try to summarise. I've heard a number of issues related to decoupled. He's going to be taking a look at that. The model does support doing a realistic or modelled burn-in effect as well when entering atmosphere, but it's whether they decide to implement that. The system has been made as easy as it could be to be tuned for each individual ship and ships to be set up with it. Everything about the flight model is highly flexible. At its core, it's 6 degrees of freedom acceleration model. It should support a high degree of uniqueness with the game's ships as well. The goal at the moment is to try to achieve a perfect and stable as motion as possible. Once that's established and trusted, they're going to try and introduce controlled error without fear that it will mask legitimate system error and cause the entire system to creep towards instability like it did during the 3.0 development phase. ESP will continue to be worked on and iterated on until it's in a sweet spot. AI as well. Once ESP is working better and combat is fun again, John is going to spend some time with the AI team and help them improve the flight performance under AI automation. He's built the system for them to script ship control, but it's definitely in need of refinement. Very little of that works well enough for prime time yet. The system supports dynamic positional control and spine following, station keeping and formation flying, the ability to script a ship's motion relative to another moving frame of reference, but very little of that has worked well enough for them to put it in to use in game. Once they do, they hope that AI will start to flourish. How resource intensive is the IFCS simulation? Is it lightweight or is it a large contributor in deciding the number of ships that will spawn for an instance? IFCS is relatively intensive. It was moved to batch updates in 3.0 optimizations, so that is CPU optimization type stuff. They've already begun optimizing this so thrust allocation processes are no longer running every frame or every physics step. A full search should only be run whenever a ship's state changes, either in change of mass or mass distribution, or a change in thrust level, etc. It can check this once per batch update, while the physics is actually updating once every physics step. With designers tuning velocities, axis goal times, then running the auto-calibration for thrusters, are these systems nullifying the purpose of having a Newtonian flight model? So John actually said to this, and I'll do it word for word, if we had a static system where the performance of a pristine ship was the only way that a ship would perform, or even if we used a gamified system where system damage would cause a degradation of performance over various control actions as the ship takes damage, then you're right. There would be no need to provide a complex Newtonian flight model, but we can do better than that. So when the designers designate the maximum velocities at goal times and the auto-tuner calibrates the maximum capacities of thrusters to achieve this performance, this locks in the initial state of the ship, but that performance is only guaranteed when the ship is in pristine condition, has full power, and is carrying the exact loadout it was tuned for. Once things start to change, the performance of the ship will evolve based on the realistic simulation in ways that no gamified system could achieve. Do I think we're doing as good a job of this as we could in the game? No. I do feel that a lot of the potential of this system is lost in translation at the moment, but the potential is there. If we're not going to use it, I'd agree with you, why not just simplify the system? So it was very interesting to see that this Q&A that John's doing is ongoing as well, so get involved. Please make sure you check out Noobify's video covering the document and or the document yourself. Also, if you have any questions for John on his Q&A thread, I'll put all of the links to all of that down below. I also want to thank John Pritchett for taking the time to answer a huge amount of questions, write this document, and for his work on this incredibly thorough system. I hope that they get other devs that are involved in major systems and gameplay mechanics to write things like this, to write documents like this, or to get involved at this level. I suspect that it's going to be very rare, as I assume this takes a lot of time out of his life to do that, but it's absolutely great to see. This month's featured spotlight is the Damar Rally, and they're giving away a rally pack of a Tumbrel Cyclone and an Aegis Vulcan, which coincidentally is all the hardware you need to enter the rally. The Damar Rally is an annual community organised event which is set to have its inaugural endurance race on the 27th of January 2019. There will be 3 divisions over a 300-kilometre course set on Crusader's moon, Damar. It is an in-game event, and I am very much up for these. A 4-person crew can sign up their team now with a ground vehicle and support vehicle. More info, the sign up and complete rulebook can be found on damarrally.com. All you need to do to be in for a chance of winning that rally pack though is be subscribed to my channel and comment on any of my videos throughout June. 1 per video, each video gives you another chance to win. Also, I'm working with Shadow, which is a cloud-based subscription gaming PC service that gives you an alternative to upgrading, but also as a gaming PC anywhere. I'm trying to make the service as Star Citizen friendly as possible, but please check that out again in the description below if you're interested, and using the promo code BoredGamer will give you a discount too if you decide that you like it. Thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe as it really does help me, and I'll see you in the verse.